tomorrow. Making sure we had a 5 or 10-year plan. And, that building was built in 1987. Outside of the metal shell of that metal building, all the work inside was performed by pretty much the volunteers that were serving at the time. So it met our needs. Some of the materials were probably less than perfect that helped build that structure. So over the years, it's dilapidated. We've expanded our membership, as noted in there, and it's continually growing. And I'm trying to make sure that we meet our needs in the long term. And I think that we've done due diligence to make sure we've proposed y'all a plan on what we plan on doing. I presented it to Chief Loftus to make sure that there's room and an expansion in there as we move forward. That to my knowledge, I've been a chief for a year and a half. In my tenure there, and even as a line officer in that department, we've never laid that plan out. We've never looked that far in advance. It was, let's get past tomorrow and we'll deal with the next day and the next day. Where I think now we're actually putting a plan in place to where we have it there. It's laid out. The members committed last Wednesday, not knowing what kind of money the county would help us with in this. They committed to this plan as a membership. That this is where we want to go forward, and we're going to do what we have to do to go that way, despite how long it takes to get there, and however we need to sustain the funding. At the current time, I have 12 or 15 guys at McDonald's right now doing fundraising for this project. We're doing fundraising to earmark funds directly to a building fund to help address these, but we fall well short of what it would cost to totally fund this project. So that's why we're coming to the county. And like I said, the price is on there, that we think that's a fair deal on what it would cost to completely do what this plan says. Based on the opinion that Mr. Stout had gotten from one of the builders that helped design this plan, that's not a concrete number, but we feel that it's a safe number based on the plan that's drawn in front of you. Yes, sir.
That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Underwood, you have a question?
No, sir.
Mr. Akers, you want to add something?
Mr. Chairman, I do. I met with Evan and Stephen was at that meeting last week. I don't recall, Monday or one day last week. And we went over the plans and we talked. And as I indicated to you, is the fact that certainly I support something for this organization. The organization has served Caroline County well, not only just the Ladysmith area, but other areas. However, I do believe it's important that everybody understands that the board is not going to be able, if you're asking for, or if you're hoping that we'll give you $100,000, I don't know that we're going to be able to give you $100,000 without some assurance that if something does happen to the organization, that the county is able to get refunded or getting something back for that. So I think that my thoughts is the fact that this is a new direction as far as the county is concerned as to what we're going to be doing. I know we did some work in Frog Level.
And in Sparta.
And Sparta. We did some work in Sparta as well, but not to the extent of $100,000 or something on those lines. So if we're talking about that much money, then I think we have to have some policies and some guidelines in place that's going to allow us to make sure that everyone's treated fairly. I think that is important. So I support what you're trying to do, Evan, and the Ladysmith Fire Department is trying to do. I would support, more than what we have in the past given, to be quite honest. But I do think you need to have some skin in the game. I think that the organization needs to have some skin in the game as to what they're going to put in the project. I would also hope that this board in the policy and procedures process would require that go out for bid and at least 3 bids be given on this project if we're going to put money into this project. Not that I don't trust people. It's just the fact that I think that is a good practice. And again, I think the policies need to be in place before we move forward, so that the next organization or the next group that comes to this board and says, hey, we want you to help us with our building, there's going to be something in place that sort of directs what we do. So, that's my thought. I support the volunteer organizations and think certainly we need to do something to assist them, and I would like to see us do something on the upper end of what they're requesting.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. Mr. Seeley, you want to add something to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will say that the policies and procedures, I think, also need to be set in place. Bowling Green Station also has some issues that need to be addressed, and I think we're going to have to go through the same process with those folks as well. So I think that in order to treat everybody the same, we do need to get some policy and procedure in place so that we treat all the stations the same, because, again, Ladysmith and Bowling Green are very large stations and probably need equal amounts of work, and we need to make sure that we proceed through those in the same manner. So I will support a policy, and I know that both stations, I know Bowling Green is here. I've been over to talk to those folks. They've got some issues outside their building that desperately need to be addressed as well. So I'm for the chief actually taking a look at some policies and procedures for this.
Chief Loftus.
Chief Loftus.
Okay. All right. Chief Melson, I kind of agree with the rest of the board. I think we all agree we want to help in some way.
Yes.
The issue is your first, that we've helped in this scale, I guess. As Mr. Akers mentioned, we gave, I think it was $30,000 to Sparta after their flood. We gave some money to Frog Level, $30,000 to them too. 30,000 seems like the magic number, and now we're in for a much larger presentation for you. So what I could ask you, and your letter had a great justification. You explained all the reasons why, and I do appreciate you looking ahead, as opposed to let's fix it now and then we'll fix it again later and redo what we did last time. This is a great way to look at it. Let's do it once the right way. The only thing I didn't really see in here was a construction plan or something, or how the project would go, because you said it was a 4-phase plan, and I didn't really
Yes.
see an outline of 4 phases.
There's we didn't really put it in phase, well, I said phases, we didn't really articulate that in here. The first phase is addressing the immediate repair of the facility.
Okay.
$30,000 will not touch that.
Right.
We have an idea of what that would cost based on the prices that were provided previously, which would be in the neighborhood of $65,000 to $75,000.
Okay.
So that's about half of what the whole project would cost.
Okay.
So that's why we've looked at option 2. Phase 2 would be, after the initial repairs are fixed, is we would take what's currently downstairs, move it upstairs, because we could again occupy that space so
Right.
that we can finish the construction of the first floor of the facility. Phase 3 would be moving that stuff back downstairs and reliving, reoccupying the first floor of the facility. Phase 4 would be the longer term, which is finishing out that second floor to put a training area back upstairs, putting office space back upstairs for in storage space.
Okay. I think the board has also said we need to really create a policy.
Yes, sir.
So if you could help us help you by putting those phases, on paper with a time frame and maybe a cost of what each phase would cost,
Yes, sir.
and give those to Chief Loftus. And in the next month or so, we will actually try to work on what that policy will be. Because quite honestly, I've got a meeting Thursday with the Bowling Green Fire Department to tell me about the problems they have with their station.
Yes, sir.
So we might as well do them all at once, or at least get them all in line at once.
I understand.
And I can't say yes to you and no to them, or no to you and yes to them. We're going to treat,
No, sir.
All of them
I don't expect that.
Okay. well, I appreciate that.
We
A
on the
lot of
second-
people expect
No.
different,
On
so,
the second page of the document, we clearly state in there that we would agree with some sort of memorandum of understanding, i.e. a policy of some sort.
Right.
That would dictate, where that share goes.
okay,
And we as a department are more than willing, we know what the tax assessment or the value of our property is, because most people in the system, in the county, don't realize that the county doesn't own our facility.
right,
That it's owned by our agency. And I know what the county policies are on where you invest money in contracts and all that stuff with properties that aren't owned by the county. we're fully cognizant of all that, and that's why we put in there that we'd be willing to, as long as it's a properly worded the lawyers all sign off on it, some sort of document to make sure that you, as a steward of the county taxpayers' money, get an investment for their return. Get some sort of return for their investment, and we're fully engaged in that as well, because what I've tried to preach to our folks is, irregardless of where the money's coming from, whether it's coming from our checking account or y'all's, it's taxpayer money either way, whether it's donations or tax money.
Right.
It's not our money to spend frivolously. So that's why we try to create this plan, to put something in place to make sure we give them something and give y'all something as a return.
Well, Chief Melson, if you can do that in the next 30 days, get it to Chief Loftus. We'll direct staff, Mr. Cully, to work with Chief Loftus to create a policy to, present your request in that new policy.
Yes, sir.
We ought to be able to address it next month. And I know it was an emergency in October, but you guys have done some magic work to kind of forestall the emergency a little while longer. So if you can just give us another month, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Not a
Okay.
problem. Thank you, sir.
Well, we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Kilo, do you need the setup? Just move the screen down? Okay. The next order of business is a presentation of the proposed fiscal year 2014-2015 school board budget. Our superintendent, Dr. Kilo, will be making that presentation with school board chairman George Spalding. Dr. Kilo, we are ready when you are.
All right. I was just looking, I was getting a buzzing in my pocket, and it was reminding me that we're putting out already a call to warn and let parents know of the inclement weather rolling in tomorrow evening. And
It's supposed to come at noon. The last weather update, is it later? Okay,
6 o'clock.
so we might get the school day in.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping to get in.
Err on the side of caution, please.
We will. And thank you for letting us come forward and present the budget, Chairman and Supervisors. This is the proposed budget that the school board passed last night at their board meeting. Okay, keep going. Operating fund. Start out with the local composite index. They redid those again for the next 2 years. The local composite index dropped by 0.0034, which is a very small gain, but we do gain additional funding for that. State revenue, based off the governor's proposed budget in December and the numbers that we're seeing, we will get an additional $720,294, and that is reflected also in the local composite index, based on 4,200 ADM. Federal revenue, our federal revenue will decrease by about $48,000 for the fiscal year 2015. The school board budget priorities. First is to fix the salary scales and to retain and attract a high-quality staff, to increase professional development, to maintain a highly effective staff, to restore the much-needed staff which was cut 5 years ago in order to better support our instructional programs, use math intervention kits and project-based learning kits for STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, replace and update equipment for science, math, and technology, offer advanced academic enrichment programs at CMS through Odyssey Ware, career and technical education to the ag will offer welding. We'll be offering a CNA program, night courses for cosmetology licensure, MOS, micro office suite, and begin moving towards looking at offering an HVAC program, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. We'd like to purchase supplemental instructional materials to support reading and language arts, which is very needed at this time. Promote the fine arts by updating equipment and instructional materials. When I came here 5 or 6 years ago, the question was, can we ever fix the salary scales for teachers? The salary scale has been sorely needed to be readjusted and to create intervals in it. And in order to do that, the board looked into about a $526,000 increase in order to fix the salary scales and to try to get teachers moving again back up the scales to gain years of experience for each year that they've served here, so we do not lose them to other localities. The total, also an academic stipend of $102,000 to increase people for having masters and other degrees, and we'll give you a breakdown here now. The teacher scale, as you can see, we tried to create a better increment of $900 between each step, starting at $38,600 and ending at 32 steps at $66,500. And it gives us a lot better control in budgeting and knowing how we would do it. Instead of doing percentage increases in the future, we would do step and then try to do adjustments, entire adjustments to the entire scale. The next is the academic supplements. There is a strong correlation that the more academic background and higher and more advanced degrees that a professional has, the stronger they are in the classroom. And we would like to, some of those have been frozen, and we probably have some of the lowest in the region, so we're trying to step all those up in a small amount of $500 each. One of our groups is probably the most sometimes people don't realize how big an impact they make. We'll see it tomorrow, and we would see it on these days when we have our bus drivers, our maintenance staff, our mechanics, our custodial staff. Many of our clerical staff are under this part of it, and we're looking at a 12% increase and a 4% for 12-month employees. There was also an increase recommended for board members, total of $884,000. There was a look to, we need to, as we continue to grow and trying to add programs to meet the needs of what our students need and also to meet state and federal mandates, we are looking at the need for 3 secondary teachers, 4 elementary teachers, 1 SPED teacher for an ED program to try to keep more students within the county and not sending them out, and 6 instructional assistants, mainly at the kindergarten level. Those teachers having large numbers, and they just really need those staff back there. And also trying to support our athletic programs by putting back some of the coaches, because we have many of them where we don't have an assistant coach, and if the coach is out, we have nobody there for the students. VRS, as you all know in your budget, the state's trying to get the VRS funding more back to where it needs to be. They're requesting that we cover that at $576,878. Non-professional actually reduced a little bit, so the total request was $538,454. Health insurance, we've tried to stay off health insurance increases for the last few years, but to keep it from being put on to our staff, we are looking, and we're probably using a conservative figure here of 10% at $505,000. The budget request summary is for salary increases, $1.5 million, new positions with benefits, $650,000 approximately, retirement rate increase $540,000, health insurance $505,000, materials and supplies, which we have frozen for a number of years and really need to bring back $147,870, equipment and fixtures for many of our science labs and our CTE classrooms, and also to keep our technology up, $152,000. Professional development, $50,000 for a total of $3,550,000. $554,470. The state funds would be a $720,000 increase, federal $48,000 cut. Total the budget request of $3.5 million, add reductions in budget line items of $31,000. It gives us a total request that we're requesting of the county of $2,851,000. Proposed operating expenditures and breakouts, instruction impact 10%, administration, health, and attendance, which includes school board HR, superintendent's office, finance, health services, which are all of our nurses and all of our psychologists and social workers, 9%, transportation, mechanics, and bus drivers is 8%, and the operations and maintenance at 5%, facilities 0. The total increase about 10%. We have special funds. These are the federal programs. You can see food service. The total amount is $4,645,511. Food services, Title I, and you can see there's no longer any ARRA monies in there. As a snapshot of all the things that are going on and the things that we've been trying to do to improve the instructional quality and programs of Caroline County Public Schools with your support and help, we do have the Early College Scholars Program, which the students can get an associate's degree. We have a lot of our local communities that are very jealous of this program, and you have to have specially highly qualified teachers to meet the requirements to be able to teach at a community college. We have many of those people on our staff, and we work out an agreement with Germanna to be able to offer this program, and we will start having anywhere from 15 to 20 students a year graduating with an associate's degree. We also have students that we place in the advanced placement courses or AP courses. We offer the honors courses, Chesapeake Bay Governor School, and we have Commonwealth Governor School. We're trying to offer a very rigorous program for our highly academic students and challenging all students. Not only our highly academic students, but all students can take any of the Germanna Community College credits if they pass the entrance requirements. We're also offering a CNA program that will eventually lead to an LPN. We have been working with Germanna on this. There's such a need out there right now for nursing programs, and you know we've had the fire rescue, the criminal justice. We've been offering a lot of programs trying to meet various needs. We started a student leadership team, and there will be hopefully going to some training with the Virginia High School League. They've been presenting at the school board meetings, and they're learning about community involvement, and we have SCA programs at each of the schools now. We had some elementary teachers that were asked to participate at the UVA Teachers Academy to gain strategies to work with struggling readers, which was a nice offering that we were able to become a part of and get invited to be a part of. Caroline Middle School is a recipient of a 21st Century Grant, which we do a lot with the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math. A lot of great things going on, a lot of activity going on in the afternoons, on the weekends, just a tremendous program. We have the ACE program that we're trying to accelerate students and give them higher academic programs. It's teacher-facilitated and technology-based learning program that is helping our students accelerate and learn more, and they're also involved in project-based learning activities and collaborative learning. The Caroline Middle School History Club, as you all were a major part of it, and we thank you so much. It was a wonderful program for our children, was the Korean War Memorial. I just think that I can't thank you enough, and our students can't thank you enough, and it's such a wonderful thing, and all the community people that were involved in that. The elementary schools offer our running programs now. We've had students placing in local meets or running road races and 5Ks, and a lot of volunteers and parents that have gotten involved in that, the star performers, beta clubs at all the schools, and then we're offering some advanced fine arts programs, strings, drama, choir, and all these programs are beginning to grow, which is really nice to see. And then also we are now using the 1.5 miles of fiber optic cable connecting the schools and the facilities of Caroline County Public Schools. In conclusion, I would like to again, on behalf of the school board, to request that you consider funding our total request of $2.8 million, $2,851,000. Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members.
Thank you, Dr. Kelo. As is our process, you present the budget to us, and we're going to have a board-to-board work session where we can kind of sit down and look through things. So we do appreciate this. We have yet to see the county administrator's recommended budget, so we'll factor that in. But I'll ask board members if they have any questions about your presentation this evening. Mr. Taylor? Mr. Black? Mr. Underwood?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, not at this time.
Mr. Akers?
No, sir.
Mr. Seeley?
None at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you can't get off easy then. I got a couple of questions. The total budget that's represented in here, we've seen different things, but the total number is what?
2.8.
No, your total overall budget.
Oh, overall budget, I'm sorry.
Something close to 40 million?
Yes, it's close to 40 million.
Well,
It's
Charles got this.
$40,340,060.
I'm sorry, we had five
$40
conversations.
million,
$40 million.
$340,060.
And the ADM on this particular budget is based on
4,200.
4,200. Okay. Fuzzy math, that's almost $10,000 a student, not quite, but it's somewhere in that range, 9,000 and change? Okay. And I say that not to cause an issue, but if we spend $10,000 per student and some other locality spends $10,000 per student, we want to think they're the same, but I think there's a lot of differences in our division because we got such a big transportation cost, and that doesn't come from the state. So the county picks up all the transportation cost funding there is. So sometimes things look a little different. So I just wanted to ask you that one. And the other one is, and I had some discussion with one of the reporters, but the required, or what comes from the composite index is our required local match, or required local effort.
Right.
And
The
for
local composite index is basically saying the lower the number, the less is required of the locality.
the less ability the locality has to pay.
Right. That's a
'Cause-
good way to.
And that's really what it is, because it's based on the real estate values we have out there, plus
Personal
sales tax, plus
and
some other things.
Personal income, right.
Right. So it's just to say, if we gave the same amount of money as another locality, it might be different for whatever reason. So sometimes that comparison is different. And then our local match, this year's budget, Mr. Cully told me it was 9.8 million and change based on the composite index. And you said, I think the average is 80%, the state average is 80% over the local match?
Yes, about really, I would say it's probably running in between 70 and 80%. I don't want to give you the exact figure, but it's running in that range.
We're really we're just trying to get a little more detail, a little more idea as we go forward. So if we gave 80% over the local match, instead of 10 million, we would give 18 million.
Correct.
To the schools.
About 16.5, yeah.
Well, I just made the math easy because it was 10.
It's easier.
And another 80% would be 8 million, so 17, 18 will split the difference. So that's almost $6 million more than what you get now.
Yes, sir.
If we were at that number, and I guess 6 times 4 is 24, plus is 235, so it's at least a 24-cent increase to fund it at that state average. 24 cent over where we are already. And we're already committed to 11 cent tax increase on the school projects and the radio system. So we'd be adding another 30. Okay. And we're going to sit down and talk a little bit more because, I mean, I personally would like to see the teachers get a raise. I think we gave money for them the past couple of years, or tried to. So
Yes, you have.
I'd like to make that happen and see. We'll have to work it all together. I think that's the thing. It's a process to get to where you are. Our schools didn't get to where they are overnight, so we're going to try to get them to where they should be a little sooner than that. But it's hard to turn a battleship in the middle of the ocean. Sometimes you got to move a little slow. So we'll meet board to board. We'll discuss it in a little more detail. Mr. Cully's informed me we have your entire budget, so he'll make sure all the board members get it. Whatever detail they need should be in there. And we'll try to set up a time, I guess, somewhere in March between our two meetings, between our two meetings in March, because you're going to present your budget the first meeting in March. We're not going to approve his right away, so we'll meet with the school board right after that, and then we'll start our work sessions. Okay?
Well, I thank you for supporting us, especially with the bond, and supporting us in all the meetings and trying to work together. It's been wonderful. Just want to thank you.
Well, thank you too, because we're supporting all of us. Okay. That's it. Appointments. Did we ever get that other one? All right.
Didn't we ask the chamber? Did we ever?
We asked the chamber for that other one. We haven't got it.
I saw the email went out asking for anybody looking, so we need
That's
to
all.
ask Mary Pitts.
That's okay. We're still working on that one. I'm gonna make, Mr. Fincham has given me information that you can be on the planning commission and BZA, and I'm gonna reappoint somebody to the BZA, or I'm gonna ask the judge to reappoint somebody to the BZA, just so we can have more county folks get involved. So I haven't done that yet. I'm gonna do that. The Wellhead Protection Planning Team. What is that? I'm not looking at it. What is that?
We got a grant, and we just have to put together a committee that's going to look at all of the wellheads in the county, and it's several meetings. I think we need one board member that'd be interested in.
We need one. When do they meet?
We haven't set that up, but Mr. Shebel can answer
That's
those
going to be
questions.
Mr. Shebel?
And me, and
We need a board member to go with the county administrator.
Good afternoon. It's the local advisory committee for the Wellhead Protection Program, and basically it's look at all the county's wells and to be able to establish policies related to possibly planning, zoning, and future development around those areas to try to protect those. It's recommended actually on the committee for all the board members. However, in talking with the regulatory agencies, we only need one board member as well as a county administrator to be able to help facilitate that. We would meet 3 to 4 times during the development of the policy, and then once that's done, there would not be a need for that committee on a regular basis after that. But we're thinking over a year, 3 to 4 meetings.
All right. Any board member want to serve on the, on the Wellhead Protection Planning Team? All right, I'll do it. Okay. I need a motion or condemnation, whatever.
For condemnation?
A motion for me to do it.
A motion to appoint Mr. Thomas to the Wellhead Protection.
I'll do it. Is there a
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Underwood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
I thought you'd vote against that.
I was gonna, but you said something before I could. All right, the motion carries. Consent agenda. We have approval of minutes, warrants, adoption of the Black History Month resolution, reciprocal borrowing agreement with the Central Rappahannock Regional Library, surplus property, and stormwater management ordinances. Anything anybody like to have removed?
The librarian's here. Does she want to talk about?
I don't think we have to do that. We're going to talk to her. We're going to talk for her. Anything? Anybody want anything to move? Okay. For the reciprocal borrowing agreement with the library, we're basically, the county board is endorsing this, but it's really the library board that has the final say, so we're just going to pass it to the library board, and you're going to handle it. So we're just letting you know that you're going to handle it, which you already knew you were going to handle it anyhow. So that takes care of that. The Black History Month resolution, Mr. Partners put one together. We appreciate that. And also, for the first time ever, Mr. Wilson and the Tourism Department have created a Black History calendar, which is their first time based on community events people were forwarding us, and we hope that'll just grow next year. So there's nothing to pull. A motion would be in order.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, say aye.
Did you get a
No, I'm
second?
sorry. Well, I
I'll
thought you
second.
seconded. Okay. Mr. Underwood made the motion. Mr. Black makes a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. All right, 7:30, we're supposed to do public comments. We're going to take a 15-minute break. 7:32. Yeah, we'll break, and we'll be back in 15 minutes. We will reconvene our February 11th meeting. At this point, we have reached the public comment section of our agenda. Public comment section is where anyone can come and express their views or opinions to the board on any matter that's not a public hearing. So at this time, we will declare the public comment section to be open, and anyone who would like to speak, feel free to come down, state your name, your voting district, and enjoy your 3 minutes. Mr. Chenal, good to see you as always.
Mr. Chairman and Board, my name is Bert Chenault from Bowling Green District. I'm here because there's a can of worms that done opened up that I can't eat, and I thought I would bring them here to you all. And I would like to give each one of you some so y'all can eat them. I was in the hospital in September, and the rescue squad came and picked me up. But to make a long story short, I was in there before that 2 days that my wife took me there, and they sent me home. 2 days later, they called the rescue squad and carried me back down there. They went back to the emergency room overnight. They sent me back home again. So I came back, I was out again. So I went back the third time. They found out I had spinal meningitis. Well, I only got one charge for one rescue squad yet, and that's $980. The insurance paid $400 and something, and they said I owe $150. Now, if I owe $150 and they're going to charge like that, you know, I'm kind of, never was against y'all getting these paid firemen and paid rescue squad, because in the 50s and the 60s, I worked on the rescue squad as a volunteer, and through the years, I think the volunteer rescue and firemen have done a wonderful job, and it hasn't cost y'all so much. So tonight, here's a volunteer fireman up here asking y'all for $30,000 to fix up the fire department at Ladysmith. Well, here y'all got these people that y'all done hired, and I know one of them's over $100,000. You could have took $30,000 of his pay and fixed that rescue squad up. And you could have fixed up the Sparta one. You could have fixed up the Frog Level one if you'd have just took them off the payroll. So I'm here to tell you, I want to know what you want to do with this bill if I got to pay it.
Okay. I will be happy to address that as soon as we finish, Mr. Chenal. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak as part of public comments?
Hello, my name's Robin Burke. I'm the Port Royal District. I received a letter from DEQ about 10 days ago regarding biosolids that they're going to be spreading on the lot next to my property. I've gotten information, the application process from Mrs. Biller from DEQ, listing 8 different applicants in various properties throughout the county. I mean, the obvious stench is one of the big problems that we're going to have there. That is why I'm objecting to this whole process. But the second thing is, I have researched and only had, like I said, a few days to really do this. And I have found both pros and cons to this, but nowhere in the research have I found anything recent that perhaps EEP has done any research giving us documentation. What effects do the biosolids have on the soils, the property, the water? And I would think, you know, that if this is truly safe, that there wouldn't be comments in some of the research that I found that such as they are the least restrictive type of pathogens in the soil still, that research is still under investigation. Truthfully, most of the research I found was dated 2008. 6 years later, and we still don't have research to sort of give us more information about what biosolids might do in the long run. The property adjacent to mine, where they're going to be laying this biosolid, does have waterways, creeks, little streams that run toward my property, through my property and into a lake on the adjacent property on the other side of me. I have a very big concern about that. I'm lucky enough to have a deep well. I know that this will eventually creep into the water system, may take a little longer to reach my well, but there are a lot of shallow wells on that road. I don't know really. I have the packet, the application, but nowhere in there does it really give me an understanding as to how the DEQ, EPA allows these people to put the biosolids down, what type of land requirements are there. Our properties may be known as rural preservation area, but we are very residential, and since I've been here, and that's been since 2006, there have been 19 new homes or renovation of properties that may have been formerly abandoned on my road, and I know there's no less than 100 homes within a small 2-mile radius that this would directly affect. I don't know, I do know that some of the surrounding counties have filed injunctions. I know that some of the counties have completely banned this process. What little research I've done, I found out that companies like Dole, Nestle's, Del Monte have banned the use of biosolids on any property that their farmers use. There must be a reason for that. And if they have a reason, I'm concerned about my welfare, my health, and the health of my family. I have a child who has high-functioning autism. He's actually spoken before the board on the Korean War Memorial matter. He has high sensitivities to smell, and this could set off a lot of other problems for him. I just want to bring this to the board. I brought it to Mr. Taylor's attention, so he's aware of it as well. And I just want to see what it is we might be able to do, if we can try to get more research, if someone could help me understand, why this was permitted to begin with. And I know it's not, the permit has not been applied or been approved yet. There's a meeting tomorrow evening, or perhaps in 2 weeks if that gets postponed. But I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention so they're aware of what's going on right now. They may not be.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. We'll follow up, and Mr. Taylor did mention that at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak as part of public comments? How are you, young lady?
I'm fine. Mary Anderson, Western Caroline. I'd like to clarify a few things that I think may have been misconceptions about the school budget. The first one is that we are certainly not asking for the state average of matching funds. Caroline is a rural county, doesn't have the resources that the richer counties have, and we certainly are not asking for that. We also look forward to sitting down the two boards together and looking for areas of compromise. There are some things that we think we may be able to make more effective use of our money in certain ways, but together we ought to be able to work out meeting the needs that the school has without breaking the back of the county. There's one other thing that I wanted to remind you, is that that bond referendum does not go, any of it, to operating costs. It's strictly just for the capital. Anyway, appreciate the chance to clarify a little bit, and I look forward to the boards working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?